Well, hello there. Today's the day. It's the big day. Stay tuned. Welcome back, people, and a huge welcome to my Thrival tribe. If you haven't met me before, my name is Lexi Tommy, and this is my Thrival Guide. Every Thursday, I sit down and I talk to you about how to get your life together. It's a fun little channel on adulting, and it's going to help your day-to-day run a little smoother. So keep watching today and subscribe below so I can keep coming back every Thursday with tips and tricks to make your home and life just a little easier. This month, I haven't just been showing you a couple of meals that I've chosen to make. I am showing you My Thrival Guide's extreme bulk freezer meal plan. It's an entire system. So if you haven't seen the other videos, go ahead and watch those. I'm going to put them in a series so that you can playlist and binge watch them all. It is the next level of meal making for your family. Today is not a video where I'm going to show you my famous family lasagna recipe times 4 meals. I am not an award-winning chef, so I know if you're like me, you can do this too. These are legit bulk meals that I create. And there are spots where I completely cheat. I'm gonna show you how to too. The goal is to have good meals that are healthy and prepped and fresh and ready to go in the freezer. It's not to have everything gourmet. It's not to have everything homegrown. There are spots where I'm going to be making soups today, and you're gonna be thinking to yourself, why on earth is she making soup? Why is that a freezer meal? Anybody can do that. It's because I have some leftover ingredients and I'm using them up. You're using the best ingredients at its freshest, most nutritional time to prep up, freeze up, and use up to the best of their capacity. So for the ones I had left over, I made soup. And keep that in mind, because if you have ingredients left over, look them up on Pinterest, see what soup you can make with them. Just leave out the water, but the rest of the ingredients put in and write on the bag. Add 4 to 5 cups of water or 5 to 6 cups of water. Trust me, it's gonna be the best value. You're gonna throw out less, and it's gonna be a whole meal for nothing. I am gonna show you the entire system today. I'm gonna show you how it all plays out. I am gonna show you how to do it for yourself with the meals you choose, with any dietary restriction that you need, and that you will actually eat and actually love. This video is actually number 4 for the series, so if you haven't watched the first 3, go ahead and rewatch those too. I have been making bulk freezer meals for the past 13 years, and I've done it consistently. That's how our family eats. So I consider myself a downright expert on the topic. And I'm going to introduce you to my system in the most enjoyable, easiest one there is, and that season is summer. I want your summer to be super easy. I want you to have time to sit on your deck, to go out and play with your kids. And this is your ticket to that summer. Summer is the best time to try out freezer mealing if you haven't done it before, because the prep is minimal and the meals are things like throw the bag in the sink of water to defrost, marinate and throw in the barbecue when you get home. You can prep them beforehand on your weekly prep day. And if you haven't seen that video, it's kind of crucial to this whole system and the summer running so smoothly. It complements so well. So I'm going to link that at the end of this video. If you have time to binge watch, go ahead and do that. So the summer meals, they are totally different than any other kinds of meals. They are filling, but they are light and they are fresh. They are things like meal salads, savory skewers, and fresh sides. They are diverse meals that you can make bigger or smaller with side salads and servings of fruit, smoothies, and other side dishes. And they are super simple to make. If you've heard about bulk mealing or freezer mealing before, and you've always thought, maybe I should try that, this is your chance. This is your month to do just that. Freezer meals in our life has become an all-out beast, and I welcome it. It has saved me thousands and thousands of dollars over the years. It allows me a super easy on-the-go system with a complete food waste reduction. And I still stop at the drive-thru from time to time and throw a burger at my kid's head and hope it sticks. But when I do, I don't feel guilty because I know that I have a freezer full of good, wholesome food that I'm feeding them day in and day out. So on to the meal making. If there's any recipes that I used off of Pinterest or somebody else's site, I'm gonna go ahead and link that in the description below. Otherwise, these meals are just kind of like adapted throw-in meals. They're not things that I created, they're things that I've adapted over the years and have just loved. All the meals that I'm making today are all meals that my family has truly enjoyed. Today, I was aiming to make 65 meals, and I'm gonna tell you I ended up with 75. It happens. It's a good little bonus. Sometimes it's nice if you can get a few extra meals out of the meals rounds that you're making. It just stretches that buck one more round. So each one of these 75 meals that I ended up with serves 4 people. And just remember, our portions might be different than yours because we practice meat reduction. So we have smaller main dishes and we substitute with a lot of salads, fruits, smoothies, things like that. And these 75 meals, I'm telling you, they're gonna last us the month of June, July, and right up until the end of August. Because you're gonna interrupt the meals with things like leftovers or pizza days, barbecues with friends, and things like that. The meals that I'm making today are portioned to what our family of 4 actually eats, so that we are reducing the amount of waste that we throw away. They act as the main course. There's not a lot of casseroles here, so they're really substituted, like I said, with a lot of sides. Please go ahead and adjust to your household size and need. So the first thing I did was I categorized those meals by meat. I organized all the bags that I have pre-labeled and organized them by meat and type of meat. But for chicken meals today, I am making chicken teriyaki stir fry, Mexican street corn chicken tacos, Greek chicken bites, and I use those in things like salads or wraps, country smoke pulled chicken, chicken noodle soup for the rainy days, and cashew chicken. I made a bunch of frozen meatball meals, meatball Euro naan wraps, spinach dip meatball fry bowls, meatball pot roast, barbecue meatball street tacos. The beef meals, I'm making a couple of different ones. Some are with ground beef and some are with like these big cuts of beef roast that I'm actually like slicing or dicing or putting in whole to make pulled beef meals. So I cooked up a bunch of ground beef for things like tacos and taco salads and taco wraps and things like that. Warm sesame ginger beef salad with egg rolls. Loaded burger bowls. Grilled steak fajitas. Philly cheesesteaks in the Instapot. Garlic butter pulled beef. And slow cooker barbecue beef brisket on buns or coleslaw. It sounds so good. And lastly, my sausage meals. I made up some bacon wrapped sausage and Brussels sprout skewers, a rigatoni with sausage and spinach, and a sausage and potato skillet. Like I mentioned, I'm gonna make the meals by type, so that's step number 1, organize the bags by type and get them ready to go. In video 3, I worked through all the prep steps to get you ready for today. So I've already cooked up all the ground beef in the slow cooker, drained it and chopped it up. It's cooled and ready to go in the bags. I pre-cut all the vegetables that needed to be, and some of the chicken has already been cooked up and cut up and ready to go. So now all we're doing for today is we're assembling. You've already prepped all the meal bags with your name of your meal, the instructions, the cooking instructions, and anything that it needs to be served with so that when you pull them for your weekly prep, you can remember those things to order for your grocery list. So with our already meat type arranged bags, we're going to go ahead and start assembling. This will speed everything up when you're putting your meals together because they'll be in like meal organization. And lastly, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna store all of my meals like I always do. I have these leftover like big chicken boxes that the raw chicken came in bags, and I have kept them ongoing. So I store all of the bagged meals in there and then I slot them down in the freezer. So it works as like a meal filing system. It is brilliant. It works beautifully. I've done it this way for years. They've changed the boxes on me. They're more square now. So I don't use those ones, and I'm hoping that these boxes will last years more because they work awesome for storing and keeping those meals organized and not falling to the bottom. I also want to note, when I make the bags up, I then roll the bag so that when they're compressed together and freeze, that the bags don't stick together, because I had a couple of times frozen them flat, and when you pull the bags apart, sometimes they rip. I want to also note, use a really good quality freezer bag. You can't be just using any plastic bag for this. Freezer meals are very specific, and you're going to be storing them for about 3 to 4 months. So you want to make sure that you have proper freezer bags that are nice and thick with a really good latch to make sure that they stay safe and aren't all over your freezer, and don't get freezer burnt, because that's just waste. So let's get started on the chicken. I'm going to grab all the bags for the chicken noodle soup, for the country smoked chicken, and for the slow cooker cashew chicken, because those are the meals that are my raw chicken meals. For the 3 chicken noodle soups, I am adding 1 frozen chicken breast to each bag, 3/4 of a cup of sliced celery, 3/4 of chopped carrot, 1/4 cup of diced onions. If you haven't heard of this before, I use frozen diced onions. Did you know this existed? When I found this existed, it made my entire meal prep so much easier. I don't chop onions anymore. I don't peel onions anymore. I don't cry anymore. There's no stinky odor in my house that lingers for like a week after meal prep. I use frozen diced onions in my meals. You can get them from the freezer section. I found them at most grocery stores. They're awesome. You're gonna freeze them again anyway, so it really doesn't make any difference. Next, I added this garlic seasoning from Costco. I love this stuff. I use it on everything. A little bit of Mrs. Dash and some thyme. And then I add about 1/4 cup of the chicken broth base. I leave out the water in the soups. They're easier to store that way, and they don't get this like funny flavor to them. All you're doing is storing the ingredients. You can add the 5 to 6 cups of water later. Make sure you write that on the bag. You're going to want to keep some extra bouillon on hand in case you have extra guests for lunch, or you want to make extra for lunches the next day. You can just throw in some extra bouillon, some extra spinach or whatever vegetable you have on hand, and you're good to go. Next, I made 5 country smoked chicken meals. So you are going to have to serve it with some kind of side. I am making this recipe for the Instapot. I throw in 3 to 4 raw chicken breasts into each bag. In another bag, I add sliced onion and 1/3 of container barbecue sauce. I put in 1/2 cup of coconut sugar. You can use any sugar you like, but throughout this video, I use coconut sugar because that's what our bodies work well with in our family. And I put in about 1.5 tablespoons of liquid smoke. You can get this from any grocery store. I didn't know about it until like a little while ago. It's brilliant. You don't have to have a smoker. You can totally fake it. It tastes amazing. I typically like to keep these ingredients separate from the chicken, because as the chicken defrosts, it seems to pump out a little bit of water. So you want to make sure that you're able to like take the breast out of the chicken bag after it's defrosted, put it in the Instapot with the ingredients, and you're all set to go. You can eat this with any side, but I'm planning to throw in some little baby potatoes, some green beans, cooked corn cobs. If you want to do these veggies first in the Instapot and then set them to the side, then do the chicken, that's a good note. You don't have to wash in between. Once it's all cooked up, I throw it all into this big family-sized bowl, and they can have at it. It's good. Next, I'm going to make the 3 cashew chicken meals. This is really like a stir fry. I really eye it up and go to town, but if you really want the Pinterest recipe, I'll link it in the description below. In 1 freezer bag, I added 2 to 3 chicken breasts that were raw. I mixed around a little bit of oil, and in a separate bag, I made the sauce. For the sauce, I added 1/4 cup of chicken stock, 1.5 tablespoons of soy sauce, 1 teaspoon of sugar, 1 tablespoon of rice vinegar, 2 tablespoons of hoisin sauce, a little black pepper, 1 tablespoon of ketchup, garlic seasoning, 1 teaspoon of ginger, 1 tablespoon of minced garlic, 3/4 cup of frozen diced onion. You could add a little bit of sriracha or chili garlic sauce if you wanted to, and just to give it a little bit of a kick. I leave it out and my husband adds it at the end. That's it for this recipe. Remember, for the cashews, you're gonna leave them out of the freezer. They just are good in the pantry, but you can bag them up and hide them if you don't want anyone to eat them before the mealtime. When you go to make up the meal, you're gonna go ahead and roast those cashews in a frying pan and set them aside. You'll marinate the chicken with a little bit of sauce. Then add the rest of the sauce and cook it all up. I will likely top mine with some chopped green onions, and of course sprinkle them with sesame seeds. I'll serve it on ramen or rice, or like I'm planning, stir-fry vegetables. It's gonna be so good. Now we're gonna do all the cooked chicken meals. So I'm grabbing the bag for chicken teriyaki stir-fry, Mexican street corn chicken tacos, and Greek chicken bites. For the 3 chicken teriyaki stir-fries, I added 2 cooked sliced chicken breasts. You can cube them too, to each bag. I like to powder all the chicken with that Costco garlic seasoning for this meal. I make the sauce super easy. You can go ahead and make it homemade. I made a mixture of this container that I got from Costco. It's super cheap. It's a good sauce. I find that it's a little concentrated, but it seems to kind of work out once the vegetables, the frozen vegetables, defrost in the pan. I toss in a tablespoon or so of whatever oil you have on hand. I pretty much always use avocado oil in our household. Add the stir-fry vegetables and some extra frozen broccoli. I always chop up a handful or 2 of spinach because it nearly disappears in the meal and adds so much nutritional value. And there you go, done. You just defrost it, pan fry it up, and serve. Now I'm gonna make the 5 Mexican street corn chicken tacos. These meals are really because my daughter is obsessed with Mexican street corn. So honey, remember your mama loves you. In a large bag, I cut up 2 cooked chicken breasts. I added a 1/4 cup of frozen onion. I tossed in a little avocado oil, and then I added a little taco seasoning and a little of this maple bacon seasoning that I found at my local grocery store. You open up the jar, it smells incredible. So you'll see I've added it to a few meals as we go along. In a separate small bag, I added 1 tablespoon of oil, 3/4 cup of frozen corn, a tablespoon of mayo, 6 tablespoons of crumbled feta, 1 tablespoon of minced garlic, 1 tablespoon of lime juice, a 1/4 teaspoon of chili powder, and a tiny bit of salt. Defrost it, fry up the chicken, fry up the second bag with the chicken at the end. Serve on warm tortillas or in bowls with a little bit of rice, some sliced avocado, some tomatoes, and some cut limes. There you go. It's super good. Next, I'm gonna do the 4 Greek chicken bites. Add 3 cut cube chicken breasts to each bag. Add some oil, add 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, add 2 tablespoons of minced garlic, some dried oregano, a splash of white wine for yourself if you need it, and Greek feta salad dressing, because you know salad dressing's a marinade too. On to the meatball meals. I use frozen meatballs exclusively, and I mean exclusively. Sometimes they're seasonal at Costco, so you really gotta watch. When it starts becoming like summertime, you gotta stock up. I have a really good meatball recipe, so don't comment below. I have one that's awesome, but they're super tedious. And when you're doing bulk meals, you want things to be fast and streamlined. So I save the beautiful meatball recipe for special days. And I use the frozen ones here. Again, totally up to you. However, I'm gonna make a little disclaimer. If you choose to make the meatballs by hand and homemade, make them the day before. Don't make them the day of. It's gonna soak up all of your time and you're not gonna have any time to make the actual meals. So the first one I'm gonna make is the meatball gyro naan wraps. My kiddo loves gyro and any kind of Greek food. So I'm gonna go ahead and make 6 of these. I placed around 16 to 20 meatballs in each bag. I put in a handful of sliced frozen bell peppers, a little Greek dressing, and a dash of Worcestershire sauce. I separate a large container of tzatziki sauce into a couple of snack-sized bags, putting 1 in each freezer meal. Then I do the same with feta cheese. And sometimes I add the naan to keep it all fresh. It's too easy and everything's all in one pack. For the spinach dip meatball fry bowls, I will make 4 of these. This meal is killer for the days that you're looking for some takeout food, but don't want to go out. It meets so many satisfying categories, but it's 10 times healthier than takeout because everything is baked. The meatballs are baked, the sweet potato fries are baked. In these meals, I would have preferred sweet potato fries, but at the stores I went to, they didn't have any. So I only had one bag and I substituted with regular fries, but oh my God, these regular fries are so good. Everything is portion controlled, and you will see how I will sneak in a ton of nutrition into each veggie bowl. The day of, I'll make a little bit of rice with a little bit of garlic powder, a little bit of French onion soup mix, a little chicken bouillon, and divide it all up. The sweet potato fries, or the regular fries, are separated into the main bag with the meatballs because they're all going to go onto a cookie sheet in the oven when you're cooking them. I separated a little spinach dip into little snack bags and put them into each bag. When you go to cook this bowl, you can turn on the oven, empty the meatball fry bag onto a foil wrapped baking sheet. Go do something else for 12 to 15 minutes. Take the sweet potato fries out and set them aside. Throw the meatballs on for a higher temperature for about 5 minutes or so. Warm up the rice in the microwave. Take out the rice and assemble it all. When you go to assemble the bowls, you add the rice to the bottom, and then you're going to do a green layer. Add up any green sliced vegetable you want. I will likely do fresh spinach and avocado and a little shredded coleslaw mix. It's really whatever you have on hand, anything will work. Add your sweet potato fries, your cooked meatballs, top with a little crumbled feta, and that dollop of spinach dip. If I have it, sometimes I'll quarter some naan bread and serve it with that, or cut some fresh herbs like green onions or chives or dill from the garden. It is so good. For the 3 meatball pot roast meals, I put in 4 teaspoons of beef bouillon powder, a small can size of either tomato paste or tomato pasta sauce, whatever you have on hand, a tablespoon of cornstarch, and then I smush it all around in the bag, kind of like a mix, you know? We add 12 to 16 meatballs to that bag, half a small bag of baby potatoes. I used 2 big bags over the course of all the meals. A few chopped celery stalks if you have them, some baby carrots, 2 to 3 tablespoons of minced garlic, half a cup of frozen onions, sliced mushrooms. I just split 2 cans across the bags. You can add salt and pepper and these meals are done too. The last meatball meals are the 4 barbecue meatball street tacos. This is a Pinterest meal, so I'm going to go ahead and link it in the description below. For these tacos, I'm going to use 16 or so cooked meatballs for each one. And then I'm going to add in a separate bag what they refer to as burger sauce. The burger sauce is made up of 3/4 cup mayo, 2 tablespoons of barbecue sauce, 2 tablespoons of ketchup, 1 teaspoon of mustard, 2 tablespoons of relish, 3 teaspoons of Worcestershire sauce, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, a decent sprinkling of that garlic seasoning, and your meal is made. I throw the cooked meatballs right into the sauce. I add some frozen corn because I have it, so why not? I package up a little crumbled feta, and you are good to go. You serve this meal with any fresh spinach that you have, some shredded cabbage, or some cut pickles. Literally anything that you want for toppings will work really well with this meal. And then you serve it with like a little wrap or a tortilla bowl. It's up to you. See how fast this is? We have already fired through 33 meals. Let's keep going. On to the beef meals. We're gonna slow down a little with these. The taco salad fixings are super easy. I am making 6 of them because they're so easy to just grab and warm up for that taco salad or for wraps or to add in something on the fly. They're really great to like make a quick dish for potlucks and things like that. So I'm gonna make 6 of these. We are not doing anything special for this. The rest of the ingredients are like fresh salad, cut tomatoes, you know, onions, things like that. And I'm not really sure why I didn't film this for you, maybe because it was just too simplistic. But basically we're just frying up the beef a little more. We're adding some taco seasoning and some garlic seasoning. I added some onions, some of those frozen diced onions. I added a can of black beans separated between the bags. And then you can bag up some shredded cheese to top it all off. Next, I made 4 sesame ginger beef salads with spring rolls. This is a warm salad. It's fresh and it's super good. You can use whatever cut of beef you want. If you would rather have strips, if you would rather batter them, like those are all options to you. I used ground beef. I will fry it up a little more with a little bit of avocado oil, some salt and pepper, and then I'll go ahead and I'll make the sauce. So in the sauce bags, I'm gonna put 3 tablespoons of minced garlic, 3 teaspoons of minced ginger, a 1/4 cup of soy sauce, 1 tablespoon of rice wine vinegar, 3 tablespoons of coconut sugar. I'm gonna put in 3 tablespoons of frozen diced onions. I'm gonna throw in a pound of that fried ground beef. And that's it, it's done. When I go to make it, I'll go ahead and defrost this puppy, warm it up in a skillet, and serve it on top of a bed of lettuce with pea pods, green onions, sliced cucumbers, and shaved carrots. It's whatever you like. I also had found some ready to warm spring rolls. You can make them homemade. They're not super hard to make, but these were a good price. I just divvied them up amongst the bags so that I can just warm them up in the microwave or in the pan and serve them with the salad. Adds that extra little piece to the meal. Next up in the hot and fresh meal salads is the loaded burger bowl. For this one, you're just seasoning the ground beef. I used this one that I picked up from the grocery store, that maple bacon seasoning. It's so good. I used a 1/4 cup of frozen diced onions. In a snack bag, I added shredded cheese, ensuring the bag is labeled with all the fresh toppings that you'll need to order for that week. And bag it up. It's gonna be delicious. When you serve this, you're gonna cut up some tomatoes, sliced sweet pickles, maybe some avocado, and maybe add some real bacon bits if you wanted that too. The dressing is a simple Thousand Island dressing. Next up, I'm gonna go ahead and slice up the roast that I need for 2 of the meals. Now that I have that all cut up, I'm going to make some grilled steak fajita bag. We're gonna have 3 of these. For this one, you can use a variety of cuts of beef. I used a sirloin tip oven roast, and then I went ahead and I sliced it up into thinner strips. I'm gonna throw in a little bit of taco seasoning, a little bit of Worcestershire sauce, a little bit of ground cumin, and some red pepper flakes. 3 tablespoons of minced garlic. Throw in a couple tablespoons of lime juice, 1 tablespoon of coconut sugar, a teaspoon of salt, and a little black pepper. In a separate bag, you're gonna go ahead and you're gonna add some frozen bell peppers and frozen onions, a little bit of oil in that bag also, a little bit of coconut sugar again, and a little bit of taco seasoning again. There are a lot of ingredients in this little meal, but I wanna point out how many of those ingredients are repetitive throughout the meal round that I'm making this round. As I mentioned in other planning videos of this series, planning your meals out by meat first, and then taking consideration into other similar ingredients with different flavors means that you cut back on the ingredients you need. You can buy them in bulk because you're using them in a bigger quantity and may have some left over for future meals. There were so many of these ingredients that I just had already because I shopped my own groceries first. This helps you mind your budget, people. I served these steak fajitas on warm tortillas with guacamole, cut tomatoes, and sour cream. Next, I'm gonna make Philly cheesesteaks, and I'll make 3 of them. I'm adding some sliced beef, some frozen peppers and onions, and a 1/3 of a can of sliced mushrooms. You can add a little bit of oil or minced garlic to the bag, a little bit of mustard powder, a smidge of paprika, and some Worcestershire sauce, a little bit of soy sauce, and some of that maple bacon spice. Finish off with a tiny bit of salt and pepper. Bag up that shredded cheese separately and you are good to go. When you go to serve it, cook it up, serve it on some buns, top with a little bit of cheese, or on some cooked broccoli or on a salad. For the pulled roast type meals, I'm going to make 3 garlic butter pulled beef. Place a 1/3 to a 1/2 of a roast into a bag. We're gonna cook it whole and we're gonna shred it when it's all done. Add some oil to the bag, 2 tablespoons of red wine vinegar, add a little salt and pepper, add some parsley, some basil, some garlic powder, 3 tablespoons of minced garlic, and 1/2 cup of frozen diced onion. You're done with those, bag them up. Next ones I made were 4 slow cooker beef briskets. I add 1/2 to 1 roast in each bag. And in a second bag, I add 1 tablespoon of smoked paprika, a little salt and pepper, some onion powder, some garlic powder, and some ground cumin, a little bit of water, 1.5 tablespoons of liquid smoke, and a little bit of that maple bacon seasoning. I put in some barbecue sauce, about 1/3 of a jar of it, into each bag, and I give it all a little bit of a squish. When I go to cook it, I cook it in a slow cooker on low for 6 to 8 hours and then shred it up. I like to serve this on mashed potatoes or on mashed potatoes with coleslaw and then the brisket. It's so yummy. And we are motoring, people. Now we're on to the sausage meals already. For this one, I made 4 bacon wrapped sausage and Brussels sprout skewers. They were kind of hard to poke, so I would honestly wrap them in foil as well so that they don't poke through the freezer bag. In a separate baggie, you're gonna go ahead and add a little bit of oil, some soy sauce, some garlic powder, some smoked paprika, a tiny little bit of that liquid smoke, and some maple bacon seasoning. And you just make up the skewers, you wrap them in foil, you pop them in the bag, put the sauce bag in, and you're good to go. When you go to make these, you defrost them, you throw them on the barbecue, you layer the sauce on as you're cooking. And you can serve them on rice or on ramen or just on the side with some vegetables or a side salad. With the 4 rigatoni sausage and spinach bakes, I went ahead and I cooked all the pasta al dente. I placed all the noodles in the bowl, and then I went ahead and I added 1.5 jars of pasta sauce and a little can of tomato paste, some minced garlic, and that smoky bacon seasoning because that smells so good. I cut up 3 to 4 handfuls of spinach. I added a cup of frozen diced onions. I mixed in some shredded cheese. I gave it all a mix into the bowl. I added some cooked meatballs to it. I placed them all into the 4 containers. One of them was a baking dish because I'm planning to use it this week. And that's it, those ones are done. We are on to the last 3 meals. Can you believe it? This has gone so fast. So it's the sausage and potato skillet. I added some sliced sausage, half of a bag of baby potatoes, but first I tossed the baby potatoes in oil. I put a little bit of butter or margarine in there, probably about 2 tablespoons worth. I added 2 cups of chopped broccoli, frozen of course, half a cup of corn, some diced celery, that smoky bacon seasoning, a little bit of Mrs. Dash, a little bit of onion powder, a little bit of salt and pepper, and you are all set. Those are done, and that's it. We got 75 meals. Can you believe it? Nearly all of them. You can serve it with like some fresh vegetables from the garden or from the farmer's market, a side salad. You could just have some simple rice with them or ramen noodles. They have so many options. I like to serve lots of these with just that main and a smoothie because the kids are addicted to smoothies and it adds so much nutrition to their diet. And don't forget, making mashed potatoes in the Instapot or making steamed corn in the Instapot is so easy. These are all great meals for lighter, healthy summer meals that are fresh and ready to go. I chose these meals specifically because they were freezer happy meals. There were similar ingredients. My family has some issues around dairy, so I try not to make many meals with dairy, and if I do want some cheese in it, I typically use crumbled feta. My family has been practicing meat reduction for a few years now, which has had a huge effect on our ability to get in our nutrition and to focus on fresh fruit and veggie intake. It's what's working for us here. So if you're making these meals along with me, please keep that in mind. You may have to double the recipe for your own family's needs, or if you have bigger eaters or want those leftovers for the next day. I cannot wait to hear how it all goes. I spent a total of $357.17 between my local grocery store and Costco. That's divided up between 75 meals. Each meal feeds 4 people. Sometimes you can squeeze more out depending on what you serve with it. And that brings us to $4.76 per meal, or $1.19 a serving. You cannot buy a cheeseburger for that. And as I mentioned, there's 3 other videos in this series. So if you're just hitting this one, hit the videos that tell you about the system, that tell you how to plan for the system, how to prep for the day ahead, and then rewatch this one so that you can put them together alongside me. and have fun with this. Send this video to some friends. See if they're interested in getting together and doing this with you. Or have them take half and you take half, and then you swap meals. It's gonna be so much fun and your freezer is gonna be full. Summer's on its way, and these are by far the easiest meals to make. So this is the ideal time, if you have never tried bulk freezer mealing before, to do it today. So that's it for today. If this video helped you, please let me know in the comments below. Like and subscribe while you're down there. It helps me keep coming back week after week. I want to say thank you for popping by and investing in yourself and your family. Welcome Thrivers to My Thrival Tribe. We'll see you soon.